The great hall on Zephyria Prime buzzed with quiet conversations as representatives from dozens of alien species took their seats. The building itself was a marvel of galactic engineering, its crystal walls reflecting the light of 3 suns that hung in the purple sky outside. Ambassador Kethvor of the Altarian Collective stood at the center podium, his tall crystalline form catching the light as he prepared to address the Galactic Federation Council. "Fellow beings," Kethvar began, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber's acoustic systems. "We gather today to discuss a matter of great importance. The species known as humans have achieved faster-than-light travel." A ripple of interest moved through the assembled delegates. New species achieving warp capability was always noteworthy, but Kethvar's serious tone suggested this was different. "Our long-range scouts have been observing the 3rd planet of the Sol system for the past 50 of their years," he continued. "What we have witnessed is unprecedented in galactic history. These humans have progressed from primitive chemical rockets to warp-capable vessels in a time span that would normally take most species 3 to 4 centuries. The holographic display above the podium flickered to life, showing images of Earth and its inhabitants. The delegates leaned forward with curiosity as scenes of human cities, technology, and daily life played before them. "But speed of advancement is not what brings me before you today," Kethvar said, his crystalline features shifting to show concern. "It is their nature that should alarm us all." The display changed to show recordings of human conflicts throughout their history. Battles raged across the hologram as Kethvar narrated what the observers were seeing. In what they call World War II, humans fought a global conflict that lasted 6 of their years. Over 70 million of their kind died. Most species would have been devastated beyond recovery. Yet observe what happened next. The images shifted to show the rapid rebuilding after the war, the technological boom, the space programs, and the eventual colonization of their own moon and nearby planets. They did not merely survive, Kethvar explained. They emerged stronger, more united, and more determined than before. This pattern repeats throughout their history. When faced with extinction-level threats, humans do not simply endure. They adapt, overcome, and become more dangerous than before. In the audience, General Vorthik of the Draconian Empire shifted impatiently in his seat. The massive reptilian being was known throughout the galaxy for his military prowess and his empire's aggressive expansion policies. He had conquered 17 star systems in the past decade, and his impatience with the Altarians' caution was evident. "What exactly are you suggesting, Kethvar?" Vorthik's voice rumbled through his translator device. "That we should fear species that has barely left their home system?" Kethvar turned his attention to the Draconian general. "I am suggesting that we should be very careful about how we approach them. Our analysts have studied their psychology extensively. Humans possess something that is extremely rare among intelligent species. And what is that?" asked Representative Zolter from the Mercantile Union, his insectoid features clicking with interest. "They fight hardest when the odds are against them," Kethvar replied. "Most intelligent species, when faced with superior force, will surrender to preserve their lives and culture. Humans do the opposite. The more desperate their situation becomes, the more creative and dangerous they become in response." The hologram now showed human military tactics from various conflicts. The delegates watched as human forces used unconventional strategies, adapted enemy weapons for their own use, and continued fighting long after conventional military wisdom suggested they should surrender. "Notice their approach to warfare," Kethvar pointed out. "They do not simply rely on superior technology or numbers. They use deception, psychological warfare, and environmental advantages. They turn their enemies' strengths into weaknesses." Captain Jake Morrison of Earth's first interstellar vessel, the ESS Pioneer, was completely unaware that his ship was being watched by multiple alien civilizations as he guided his crew through their maiden voyage to the Alpha Centauri system. His crew of 12 humans was excited about humanity's first journey to another star system, completely focused on their scientific mission. "Energy readings are off the charts out here," reported Dr. Lisa Park from her position at the science station. "There are some strange signatures coming from the outer edge of the system." "Probably just natural phenomena," replied Commander Pete Walsh from the tactical station. "Long-range sensors aren't picking up anything artificial." Morrison nodded and adjusted their course slightly to get better readings. He had no idea that the strange energy signatures were actually cloaked Altarian observation posts that had been monitoring human space travel since their first successful warp test. Back in the Federation Council chamber, Cathvar was showing more disturbing footage of human behavior during crisis situations. "Observe their response to natural disasters," he said, as the hologram displayed humans rescuing each other during earthquakes, floods, and volcanic eruptions. They risk their own lives to save complete strangers. This self-sacrificing behavior extends to their military operations as well. General Vorthik snorted dismissively. "Self-sacrifice is not dangerous. It is foolish. A dead soldier cannot continue fighting, but it inspires others to fight harder," Cathvar countered. "Human military history is filled with examples of individuals sacrificing themselves to save their comrades or achieve strategic objectives. This creates a psychological effect that makes their entire military force more effective." The synthetic collective's representative, a being that appeared to be made of living metal, spoke in its emotionless voice. "These observations are interesting from an anthropological perspective, but we fail to see the practical threat. Their technology is primitive by galactic standards. Their weapons are basic. Their ships are crude. That is exactly the mistake I fear we will make," Cathvar said urgently, "underestimating them based on their current technology level. Humans have a remarkable ability to rapidly adapt and improve when faced with new challenges." He showed footage of human engineers reverse engineering alien technology that had crashed on their planet decades earlier. Within years, they had not only understood the technology, but had improved upon it. "They do not simply copy what they find," Cathvar explained. "They modify it, combine it with their own techniques, and often create something entirely new that is superior to the original." Representative Zolter clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. "From a trade perspective, this could be profitable. A species that can adapt technology quickly would be valuable partners." "Or dangerous competitors," Cathvar warned. "Their economic system is based on constant competition and innovation. They do not simply accept the status quo. They continuously strive to improve, to grow, to become more efficient." General Vorthik had heard enough. He stood to his full imposing height, his scales glistening under the chamber's lights. "Ambassador Cathvar, your concerns are noted, but they seem greatly exaggerated. The Draconian Empire has successfully integrated dozens of species into our civilization. These humans appear no different from any other primitive species we have encountered." "That is precisely my point," Cathvar said desperately. "They are not like other species. Their psychological profile is unique in our database of intelligent life." "How so?" asked the representative from the Peaceful Coalition of Outer Worlds. Cathvar displayed the final set of data. "Most species, when faced with a superior enemy, will attempt to negotiate, hide, or flee. Humans have a documented tendency to study their enemy's weaknesses and then attack those specific vulnerabilities. They call it asymmetric warfare, and they have perfected it over thousands of years of constant conflict." The chamber fell silent as the delegates considered this information. Finally, General Vorthik spoke again. "Your warnings are noted, Ambassador. But the Draconian Empire does not fear primitive species, regardless of their psychological quirks. If these humans prove troublesome, they will be dealt with using standard Imperial methods. Kethver looked around the chamber one final time. I have fulfilled my obligation to warn this council. When contact is made with humanity, remember what I have told you today. Do not underestimate them based on their technology. Do not assume they will react like other species. And most importantly, do not back them into a corner unless you are prepared for them to fight with everything they have. The session ended with most delegates dismissing Kethvar's concerns, but a few species took notes and began making their own preparations. The Altarian ambassador could only hope he was wrong about what was coming, but his species had been studying humans for 50 years, and the data was clear. Humans were the most dangerous species the galaxy had ever seen, precisely because they refused to accept that anything was impossible. 6 months had passed since the Federation Council meeting when General Vorthik decided to test his theory about human weakness. He assembled a fleet of 12 Draconian warships and set course for the Sol system, confident that first contact with humanity would result in quick submission to Imperial rule. Admiral Kate Collins was reviewing defense reports at Alpha Station, Earth's primary orbital defense platform, when her communications officer called out urgently. "Admiral, we're detecting massive energy signatures approaching from the outer system," Lieutenant Mike Torres reported from his console. 12 contacts, definitely artificial, and they're not using any propulsion system in our database. Collins moved quickly to the main display, where tactical data was streaming in from Earth's early warning sensors. The approaching ships were larger than anything humanity had built, and their energy signatures indicated technology far beyond current human capabilities. "Put the fleet on high alert," she ordered. "Contact Earth Command and inform them we have visitors, and get me Ambassador Martinez on the line immediately." Within hours, the alien ships had taken position near Luna, Earth's moon. Collins watched from Alpha Station's command center as the vessels slowly decloaked, revealing sleek, predatory designs that looked more like weapons than exploration ships. The first communication came in the form of a broad-spectrum transmission that Earth's computers had to work frantically to decode. When the translation finally came through, the message was simple and direct. "Primitive species of the third planet, you will prepare to receive an Imperial delegation. Resistance or hostility will result in immediate pacification of your world." Ambassador Roy Martinez arrived at Alpha Station within 6 hours, bringing with him a team of diplomats and scientists who had been preparing for this moment since humanity first detected alien signals in space. Dr. Lisa Park, now Earth's chief xenobiologist, was among the specialists rushing to prepare for first contact. "What do we know about them?" Martinez asked as his team assembled in the station's main briefing room. "Limited information," Collins replied, activating the holographic display. "Their ships show advanced technology, possibly centuries ahead of ours. Energy output suggests massive power generation capability. Design philosophy appears focused on intimidation and combat effectiveness." Dr. Park studied the ship designs carefully. Notice the emphasis on sharp angles and aggressive styling. This suggests a culture that values dominance displays. They want us to be afraid before we even meet them. The meeting was arranged to take place aboard a neutral merchant vessel provided by the Mercantile Union, a trader species that served as intermediaries for first contact situations throughout the galaxy. Collins, Martinez, and their team were transported to the meeting site by shuttle, all of them aware that they were representing not just Earth, but all of humanity. General Vorthik was waiting for them in the merchant ship's main conference chamber. The Draconian commander stood nearly 8 feet tall, his reptilian features marked by scars from previous battles. His presence filled the room with an aura of barely contained violence. "I am General Vorthik of the Draconian Empire," he announced through his translator device. "I speak for His Imperial Majesty and carry his authority to negotiate the terms of your species' integration into our civilization. Ambassador Martinez stepped forward, maintaining diplomatic protocol despite the obvious threat. I am Ambassador Roy Martinez, representing the United Earth government. We welcome this opportunity for peaceful contact between our species. Vorthic's laugh was a harsh sound that the translator rendered as mechanical grinding. Peaceful contact is not why I am here, human. You will listen to imperial terms and respond with acceptance or face the consequences of defiance. The Draconian general activated his own holographic display, showing star maps marked with the territories of the expanding empire. System after system was highlighted in red, indicating worlds that had fallen under imperial control. The Draconian Empire spans 47 star systems, Vorthik continued. 63 intelligent species serve the Empire in various capacities. Your species will become the 64th. Collins felt her jaw tighten as she listened to the alien's demands. And if we refuse? Refusal is not an option, Vorthik replied coldly. However, you may choose the manner of your integration. Peaceful. Submission will result in favorable terms. Your species will provide tribute in the form of raw materials and military personnel. Imperial governors will be assigned to your major population centers to ensure compliance with imperial law. Dr. Park was studying the alien commander carefully, taking notes on his body language, speech patterns, and psychological profile. Something about his demeanor struck her as significant, and she discreetly signaled Collins to continue stalling for time. What happens to human independence? Martinez asked. Our government, our culture, our way of life. Your primitive governmental systems will be replaced with efficient imperial administration, Vorthik said dismissively. Useful cultural elements will be preserved. Inefficient practices will be eliminated. Your species will benefit from imperial technology and protection. Protection. From what? Collins interjected. From the chaos of independent existence, the general replied. From the dangers of uncontrolled expansion. From the mistakes that primitive species inevitably make when left to govern themselves. During a brief recess, Dr. Park pulled Collins and Martinez aside to share her observations. He's overconfident, she whispered urgently. Everything about his presentation suggests he's done this dozens of times before with complete success. He genuinely believes we'll submit without resistance. What does that tell us? Martinez asked. It tells us he doesn't understand human psychology at all, Park replied. He's expecting us to react like other species have reacted. He has no idea what he's dealing with. When negotiations resumed, Vorthik presented his final terms with the casual arrogance of someone who had never been refused. You have 10 of your planetary rotations to consider imperial terms, he announced. Your leaders will announce acceptance of imperial authority. Your military forces will stand down and prepare for integration into imperial service. Failure to comply will result in demonstration of imperial power, followed by forced pacification. The human delegation exchanged glances. Collins spoke first. General Vorthik, we appreciate your offer, but humanity must respectfully decline imperial membership at this time. The Draconian's reptilian features showed genuine surprise for the first time in the meeting. You refuse imperial protection? This is unprecedented. We prefer independence, Martinez added diplomatically. Perhaps we can discuss trade agreements or cultural exchange programs instead. Vorthik's surprise quickly turned to anger. There are no alternatives to imperial membership. You will reconsider your position during the grace period provided. And if we don't? Collins asked directly. Then you will learn why 63 species chose wisdom over foolish defiance, the general replied. Imperial patience has limits. As the human delegation prepared to leave, Vorthik made one final statement that he clearly expected to end the discussion. Your ships are primitive, Your weapons are crude. Your defenses are laughable by Imperial standards. Consider carefully whether your pride is worth the destruction of your civilization." Back aboard their shuttle returning to Alpha Station, the human team discussed their options. Unknown to them, encrypted subspace transmissions were already flowing between Earth and the Altarian Collective. Ambassador Kethver, still hoping to prevent the disaster he had predicted, was secretly providing intelligence about Draconian tactics and weaknesses. Collins received the Altarian data through secure channels and immediately recognized its value. The aliens were providing detailed information about Draconian ship designs, weapon systems, and tactical doctrines. Meanwhile, Captain Jake Morrison was returning from a deep space reconnaissance mission when he detected unusual activity throughout the local galactic region. His long-range sensors showed massive fleet movements, supply convoys, and communication traffic that suggested major military operations were being planned. "Command, this is Pioneer Actual," he transmitted to Earth. "Be advised, we're seeing significant alien military activity out here. Multiple species are mobilizing fleets. Something big is about to happen." General Pete Walsh, now head of Earth's Military Intelligence Division, was coordinating the planet's defensive preparations from the command bunker beneath the Swiss Alps. The Altarian intelligence was proving invaluable in understanding what humanity was about to face. Their standard tactics rely on overwhelming technological superiority, he explained to the assembled military commanders. They've never had to fight a species that refused to surrender after the initial demonstration of power. Dr. Park was working around the clock to analyze every piece of information about Draconian psychology and military doctrine. Her findings were both encouraging and terrifying. They're used to fighting species that follow conventional military wisdom, she reported. Stand-up battles, formal surrender when defeated, acceptance of occupation. They have no experience with guerrilla warfare, asymmetric tactics, or enemies who refuse to quit. General Vorthik wasted no time in demonstrating imperial power. Within 3 days of humanity's refusal to submit, he launched what he confidently called the Terra Pacification Campaign. His strategy was simple and had worked on dozens of other worlds. Strike the outer colonies first, crush their defenses quickly, and use the psychological impact to break the home world's will to resist. The first target was Proxima Colony, humanity's mining outpost in the Alpha Centauri system. The settlement housed nearly 50,000 humans who had spent the last decade extracting rare minerals from the asteroid belts surrounding Proxima Centauri. It was lightly defended, isolated, and seemed like an easy victory that would demonstrate Imperial superiority. Colonial Administrator Ben Taylor received the attack warning with barely 6 hours' notice. His first priority was civilian evacuation, but with only a handful of transport ships available, he knew most of the colonists would have to shelter in the underground mining tunnels, while the defense force tried to hold off the attackers. Captain Lisa Park commanded the colony's defense flotilla, consisting of 3 converted mining ships that had been hastily equipped with military-grade weapons. Her force was laughably outnumbered by the 15 Draconian warships approaching their position. But surrender was not in human vocabulary. "All ships, this is Park," she transmitted to her small fleet. "We're not going to win this one, but we're going to make them pay for every meter of space. Use everything we've got." A Draconian squadron approached Proxima Colony with casual confidence. Commander Zenth, Vorthik's subordinate leading the attack, expected the human ships to either flee or surrender immediately when faced with overwhelming odds. Instead, Captain Park led her ships directly into the enemy formation, using tactics that completely baffled the alien commanders. "What are they doing?" Zenth demanded as his sensors showed the human ships diving straight toward his battle line. "This is suicidal behavior." Park's flagship, a converted asteroid miner called the Hard Rock opened fire with improvised weapons that sent the Draconians scrambling. Instead of standard military ordnance, the humans were firing mining charges, industrial cutting beams, and even chunks of raw ore accelerated to tremendous speeds. "Target their engines," Park ordered her crew. "If we can't destroy them, we'll cripple them." The Hard Rock's mining laser, designed for cutting through solid rock, sliced through Draconian armor like it was paper. The alien ships had shields designed to deflect conventional weapons, but industrial cutting tools operated on completely different principles. Commander Zenth watched in growing alarm as two of his warships suffered critical damage from weapons that weren't even supposed to be weapons. How are they penetrating our defenses with mining equipment? Captain Park's second ship, the Iron Dreams, was piloted by Commander Rick Chun, a former asteroid belt racer who knew every trick for high-speed maneuvering in cluttered space. He led his ship through the Proxima asteroid belt, using the massive rocks as cover while launching surprise attacks on the pursuing Draconians. "They're using the environment against us," Zenth reported to General Vorthik. "These tactics are completely outside standard military doctrine." The third human ship, the Deep Digger, was commanded by Lieutenant Sarah Kim, a demolitions expert who had spent years blasting through solid rock. She turned her ship's mining charges into improvised missiles, targeting Draconian weapon systems, with precision strikes that left enemy ships crippled but not destroyed. "Sir, we're taking heavy casualties," Zenth's tactical officer reported. 8 ships damaged, 3 destroyed. "The humans are fighting like animals." What the Draconians interpreted as animalistic desperation was actually human adaptability in action. Captain Park and her commanders were using every resource available to them, regardless of whether it was designed for combat. Civilian transport ships became improvised bombers. Mining equipment became weapons. Even the colony's communication satellites were rigged with explosives and used as guided missiles. The battle raged for 18 hours before the human defenses finally collapsed. Captain Park's ship was the last to fall, its hull breached in dozens of places, but still firing its mining laser at the enemy until the final moment. "Target eliminated," Commander Zenth reported to his general, but his voice lacked the confidence it had held at the battle's beginning. "Colony secured, but losses were unexpectedly heavy." "Define heavy," Vorthik demanded. 8 ships destroyed, 6 more requiring major repairs. The humans fought until complete destruction of their forces. Vorthik studied the battle reports with growing unease. No species in the Empire's history had inflicted such casualties while being so vastly outnumbered. Something was very wrong with his understanding of human psychology. On Earth, news of Proxima Colony's fall sent shockwaves through the human population, but not the kind of despair that Vorthik had expected. Instead of breaking morale, the colonists' heroic last stand became a rallying cry that strengthened human resolve. General Pete Walsh coordinated Earth's defense preparations from his command bunker deep beneath the Swiss Alps. The intelligence provided by the Altarian Collective was proving invaluable, but it was human ingenuity that was turning alien technology into effective countermeasures. "Their shields are strong, but they're designed for conventional weapons," Dr. Lisa Park explained to the assembled defense commanders. "We need to think outside normal military parameters." Admiral Kate Collins commanded Earth's main battle fleet from her flagship, the EFS Defiance. Unlike traditional space navies that relied on heavy capital ships fighting in formation, human fleet tactics emphasized speed, coordination, and what military historians would later call persistence warfare. "We can't match their firepower ship to ship," Collins explained to her captains. "But we don't need to. We just need to keep fighting longer than they expect us to." The next major engagement came when Vorthik decided to attack Mars, humanity's second most important world. The Red Planet's defenses were stronger than Proxima Colony, But the Draconian general was confident that a quick victory would finally break human resistance. Colonel Amy Stone commanded Mars defense from her headquarters in the planet's capital city of New Geneva. Unlike traditional military commanders who focused on holding territory, Stone had spent weeks preparing a mobile defense strategy based on the planet's unique geography. "Let them land," she told her officers as Draconian assault ships approached. "The Martian surface. We're not defending cities. We're defending the idea that humans don't surrender." The Martian defense network consisted of hidden bases, scattered throughout the planet's extensive cave systems and underground cities. When Draconian ground forces landed, expecting to find concentrated military targets, they instead faced an enemy that seemed to be everywhere and nowhere at once. "Where is their main army?" General Vorthik demanded, as his forces struggled to locate significant human military concentrations. They must have a central command structure. Colonel Stone's strategy was brilliantly simple. Rather than defending fixed positions that could be destroyed by superior firepower, human forces operated as independent cells that could strike at Draconian supply lines, communication networks, and support facilities before disappearing back into the Martian underground. "Sir, we control the surface," reported Draconian Ground Commander Kexla. "But the humans continue attacking our positions from underground. Every time we clear an area, they reappear behind our lines." The psychological effect on Draconian forces was devastating. Soldiers who were used to quick, decisive victories found themselves fighting an enemy they couldn't pin down or defeat permanently. Human resistance continued not for days or weeks, but for months, wearing down alien morale and resources. Captain Jake Morrison returned from his reconnaissance mission with intelligence that changed everything. His deep space sensors had detected massive fleet movements throughout Draconian territory, but more importantly, he had intercepted communications suggesting that other species within the Empire were beginning to question Draconian invincibility. "They're having to pull ships from other sectors to reinforce the attack on our system," Morrison reported to Earth Command. "Some of their subject species are starting to cause trouble, inspired by our resistance." Dr. Lisa Park was analyzing captured Draconian equipment and making discoveries that would prove crucial to humanity's survival. The alien technology was advanced but inflexible, designed by a species that expected enemies to follow predictable patterns. "Their computer systems assume compliance," she explained to the research team. "They're not designed to handle creative or unpredictable responses. We can use that against them." Throughout the galaxy, other species watched the human Draconian conflict with growing amazement. Ambassador Kethfer of the Altarian Collective observed the battles with a mixture of admiration and horror. "The humans are doing exactly what I predicted," he reported to his government. "They're not just fighting. They're learning from every engagement, adapting their tactics, and becoming more dangerous with each battle." The war had been raging for 18 months when Dr. Lisa Park made the breakthrough that would change everything. Working in a hidden research facility buried deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, she and her team had been analyzing captured Draconian technology around the clock, looking for weaknesses that human forces could exploit. "We've cracked their shield harmonics," she announced to the gathered military commanders via secure video link. "More importantly, we've figured out how to adapt their power systems to work with our ships." General Pete Walsh leaned forward from Vaux, his position in the Swiss command bunker. "Explain what that means in practical terms." "Human engineering is more flexible than theirs," Dr. Park continued, her excitement barely contained. "They design everything to work within very specific parameters. We design things to be modified, upgraded, and combined with other systems. We can take their technology and make it better." Admiral Kate Collins was coordinating fleet operations from her flagship when she received the technical specifications. For the new hybrid systems, the implications were staggering. Human ships equipped with modified draconian technology would not only match alien capabilities, but potentially exceed them. "How soon can we begin retrofitting the fleet?" she asked. "During the next strategy conference. First prototype ships will be ready for testing within 6 weeks," Dr. Park replied. "Full fleet conversion will take another 4 months, assuming we can capture enough alien components." At last requirement led to the development of what became known as the Cascade Strategy, conceived by General Walsh and implemented by Special Forces teams throughout human space. Rather than simply defending territory, human forces would actively hunt draconian supply convoys and support vessels to capture the technology they needed. Commander Tony Rivera led the first technology acquisition mission, targeting a draconian supply depot in the outer asteroid belt. His team of 12 specialists had spent months training for this type of operation, studying alien ship layouts and security systems provided by their mysterious Altarian allies. "Remember, we need those power cores intact," Rivera briefed his team as their stealth ship approached the enemy facility. "Destroy the depot, capture the technology, get out before reinforcements arrive." The raid was a complete success. Human special forces infiltrated the facility using modified alien equipment, overwhelmed the guards with tactics the Draconians had never encountered, and escaped with enough advanced components to outfit an entire battle group. Lieutenant Sarah Kim distinguished herself during the operation by single-handedly disabling the depot's defense systems using a combination of human hacking techniques and alien hardware. Her ability to improvise solutions under pressure exemplified the adaptability that was making humans so dangerous to the Empire. Captain Jake Morrison was conducting deep space reconnaissance when he intercepted communications that revealed something crucial about the Empire's internal situation. Rebellion was spreading throughout Draconian territory as other conquered species took inspiration from human resistance. "Command, this is Morrison," he transmitted back to Earth. "Intelligence indicates major unrest in at least 12 Imperial systems. The Draconians are having to divert significant forces to deal with internal security problems." The psychological impact of prolonged human resistance was spreading far beyond the Sol system. Species that had accepted Draconian rule for decades were beginning to question whether the Empire was truly invincible. On the industrial world of Kepler Prime, the insectoid Montari began sabotaging mining operations that supplied raw materials to the Imperial war machine. The aquatic Delphini of Oceanus started refusing to provide the specialized components their world manufactured for Draconian ships. General Vorthik found himself fighting a multi-front war that he had never anticipated. How can one primitive species cause this much disruption? He demanded during a meeting with his senior commanders. "The humans have become a symbol," replied Fleet Admiral Corthix, Vorthik's most experienced subordinate. "Other species see that resistance is possible. They are no longer afraid of Imperial retaliation." Meanwhile, Captain Lisa Park was making her own contributions to the war effort, now commanding the converted mining vessel New Frontier. Her ship was one of the first to receive the hybrid human Draconian technology, and the results exceeded all expectations. Weapon systems operating at 130% of original Draconian specifications. Her tactical officer reported during their first combat test. Shield strength is nearly double standard Imperial ratings. The battle that would demonstrate the true potential of human innovation took place near Saturn, where Admiral Collins had positioned her fleet to intercept a major Draconian assault. Force heading for Earth. The engagement became known as the Battle of Titan, and it marked the first time human forces achieved tactical superiority over their alien enemies. Collins had spent weeks preparing for this confrontation, using Saturn's complex moon system and ring structure to create what her tactical staff called a gravitational maze. When the Draconian fleet arrived expecting a conventional space battle, they instead found themselves facing an enemy that had turned the entire Saturnian system into a weapon. All ships, implement Cascade Protocol, Collins ordered as the alien fleet moved into her carefully prepared killing zone. Human ships, now equipped with hybrid technology and cloaking systems adapted from captured alien hardware, seemed to appear from nowhere within Saturn's rings. The Draconians found themselves surrounded by an enemy that could appear and disappear at will while using the planet's gravity and electromagnetic fields to enhance their weapons' effectiveness. Impossible, General Vorthik muttered as he watched the battle from his command ship. Our sensors showed empty space. Commander Rick Chun, now captain of the hybrid destroyer Relentless, demonstrated the kind of tactical thinking that was making humans so unpredictable. Instead of engaging the enemy fleet directly, he used Saturn's rings as camouflage while targeting Draconian ships with precision strikes that disabled rather than destroyed them. "We're not trying to win a battle," Chun explained to his crew as they maneuvered through the ice and rock debris. "We're trying to capture as much alien technology as possible." The human strategy was working perfectly. Disabled Draconian ships were being boarded by special forces teams who stripped them of useful components before allowing the crews to escape in life pods. It was a form of warfare that completely baffled the aliens, who were used to enemies that either fled or fought to the death. Lieutenant Sarah Kim led one of the boarding parties that captured a Draconian heavy cruiser intact. Her team's mission was to secure the ship's computer core and any advanced weapon systems that could be reverse engineered by Dr. Park's research teams. "Why are they not destroying our ships?" asked Draconian Captain Vexstar as human soldiers efficiently stripped his vessel of everything valuable while treating his crew with surprising courtesy. "Because we're not your enemies," Kim replied through her translator. "We're fighting for freedom, not conquest." The psychological impact of human tactics was devastating to Draconian morale. Soldiers who had been trained to expect either glorious victory or honorable death found themselves facing an enemy that seemed more interested in learning from them than destroying them. Back on Earth, Dr. Park was working with an ever-growing collection of alien technology that her teams had captured or received from their Altarian allies. Each new piece of equipment revealed more about how advanced galactic civilizations approached engineering problems. "They're incredibly sophisticated," she explained to General Walsh during one of their regular briefings. "But they're also incredibly specialized. Each piece of technology does exactly what it was designed to do and nothing else." "While human technology is designed to be adaptable," Walsh observed. "Exactly. We build things expecting that we'll need to modify them later. They build things expecting that they'll never change. It makes our systems much more flexible in unexpected situations." This difference in engineering philosophy was becoming apparent throughout the war. Human ships that suffered battle damage could be repaired using components from completely different systems. Alien ships that lost specific components became completely non-functional until proper replacement parts could be obtained. Captain Jake Morrison returned from another reconnaissance mission with intelligence that showed the Empire's internal problems were getting worse. 3 more star systems had declared independence from Draconian rule, and Imperial forces were being stretched thin, trying to maintain control over their vast territory. "They're starting to recall ships from our front to deal with rebellions elsewhere," Morrison reported. "Some of their subject species are actively helping the rebels now." The most significant development came when the aquatic Delphini of Oceanus made secret contact with Earth through Altarian intermediaries. Their message was simple but profound. They wanted to join the fight against Draconian oppression. "We have watched your resistance with great interest," the Delphini ambassador communicated through encrypted channels. "Your species has shown that the Empire can be defeated. We wish to learn your methods. The war's final phase began when humanity launched Operation Backfire, a coordinated offensive that would take the fight directly to Draconian space rather than continuing to defend Earth. Admiral Kate Collins assembled the largest human fleet ever seen, equipped with the most advanced hybrid technology and supported by alien allies who had joined the rebellion against Imperial rule. "We're not going to wait for them to attack us anymore," Collins announced to her fleet commanders during the final briefing. "We're going to show the galaxy that the Draconian Empire can be defeated on their own territory." General Pete Walsh coordinated the operation from Earth, using intelligence networks that now spanned dozens of star systems. The rebellion against Draconian rule had spread far beyond what anyone had imagined possible, with species throughout the Empire rising up against their oppressors. 17 star systems have declared independence in the past 6 months, Walsh reported to the Earth leadership. The Empire is fighting rebellions on dozens of fronts. Their forces are spread so thin that they can't concentrate enough ships to stop us. The primary target of Operation Backfire was Kepler Station, the Empire's largest slave processing facility, located in a heavily fortified system deep within Draconian territory. The station held over 2 million beings from various species who had been enslaved during Imperial conquests. Captain Jake Morrison led the assault fleet. His flagship now, equipped with the most advanced human-alien hybrid systems available. His mission was not just to destroy the facility, but to liberate every slave and demonstrate that nowhere in the Empire was safe from human reach. "Remember, we're not conquerors," Morrison briefed his crews before the attack began. "We're liberators. Every being we free today becomes a potential ally in the fight against tyranny." The battle for Kepler Station became legendary throughout the galaxy. Human forces attacked not with overwhelming firepower, but with precision. Strikes designed to disable the station's defenses while minimizing casualties among the slave population. Captain Lisa Park commanded a squadron of converted mining ships that used their industrial cutting beams to slice through the station's outer hull, creating entry points for rescue teams. Her knowledge of both human and alien technology made her ships incredibly effective at solving complex tactical problems. "Breach successful in Section 7, she reported as her crews began evacuating terrified slaves. "Resistance is minimal. The guards are more concerned with escaping than fighting." Commander Tony Rivera led special forces teams that infiltrated the station's command center, using captured Draconian access codes to turn the facility's own security systems against its guards. The psychological impact was devastating as Imperial forces found themselves trapped by their own technology. Lieutenant Sarah Kim made the operation's most crucial discovery when she accessed the station's central computer system. The database contained detailed information about every slave processing facility in the Empire, along with transport schedules and security protocols. "We've got intelligence on the entire Imperial slave network," she transmitted to Morrison's flagship. "Locations, guard strengths, prisoner populations. Everything we need to shut down the whole system." Dr. Lisa Park was working frantically to analyze the captured data when she realized something that would change the war's entire trajectory. The Draconian communication network was vulnerable to the same kind of infiltration that had worked at Kepler Station. "Their cybersecurity assumes loyalty," she explained to the assembled command staff. "They never designed their systems to resist attacks from within because they never imagined their own subjects would rebel." The discovery led to the war's most audacious operation. Using access codes captured from Imperial facilities and intelligence provided by defecting alien species, human cyber warfare specialists began infiltrating the Empire's central command network. Captain Rick Chun, now commanding the stealth ship Ghost Rider, led a team of specialists to the edge of Draconian space where they could access the Empire's main communication hub without being detected. "We're not trying to destroy their network," Sean explained to his crew. "We're trying to use it against them." The cyber attack was launched simultaneously with the physical assault on Draconia Prime, the Empire's capital world. Admiral Collins led the human fleet in what appeared to be a desperate attack against the most heavily defended system in Imperial space. But the real objective was not to conquer the planet. It was to demonstrate that human forces could reach anywhere in the Empire, no matter how well defended. "All ships, begin the demonstration," Collins ordered as her fleet engaged the massive defensive installations surrounding the Draconian homeworld. The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human ships equipped with hybrid technology fought alongside vessels crewed by liberated slaves and rebel species. The combined fleet used tactics that had been developed during 2 years of desperate fighting against overwhelming odds. General Vorthok commanded the defense of his homeworld from the Imperial Citadel, watching in horror as human forces penetrated defenses that had never been breached in the Empire's 1,000-year history. "How are they getting through our shields?" he demanded as human stealth ships appeared inside the defensive perimeter. The answer came when Commander Tony Rivera's Special Forces team infiltrated the planetary defense network and began using captured access codes to turn draconian weapons against their own ships. "Sir, our own defense satellites are targeting Imperial vessels," reported the tactical officer with obvious confusion. Lieutenant Sarah Kim was coordinating the cyber warfare. Attacked from her position aboard Chun's stealth ship when she achieved something unprecedented in galactic history. She gained control of the Empire's central communication system and began broadcasting surrender terms directly to Draconian military units throughout Imperial space. "Attention all Imperial forces." Her message went out on every military frequency. "The war is over. Your homeworld is under attack. Your empire is collapsing. Surrender now, and you will be treated with honor." The psychological impact was devastating. Draconian forces that had been fighting rebellions throughout the Empire suddenly found themselves receiving surrender demands from their own communication networks. The perception of Imperial invincibility collapsed completely. General Vorthok faced the ultimate humiliation when Admiral Collins contacted him directly with terms for ending the war. Instead of demanding unconditional surrender, the humans offered something that no Draconian had expected: negotiated peace. "You could destroy our world," Vorthok admitted during the communication. "Your forces control our orbital defenses. Our own systems are turned against us. Why offer terms instead of conquest?" Collins' response became one of the most quoted statements in galactic history. "Because we're not fighting to build an empire, General. We're fighting to be free. When you're free too, the war ends." The formal surrender ceremony took place aboard the neutral vessel provided by the Altarian Collective. Ambassador Kethvar, who had warned the galaxy about human dangerousness 2 years earlier, served as the mediator. "I predicted that humans would be dangerous," Kethvar observed as the representatives gathered. "What I failed to understand was the nature of that danger. They are dangerous to tyranny, dangerous to oppression, dangerous to anyone who believes. That might makes right." The peace terms were unlike anything in galactic diplomatic history. Instead of conquest and occupation, humanity demanded the liberation of all enslaved species, the dissolution of the imperial system, and the establishment of democratic governments on former Draconian worlds. "You're giving us our independence?" asked Draconian Admiral Cortex with obvious confusion. "Independence is not something we can give you," Captain Morrison replied. "It's something you have to choose for yourself." The transformation of the galaxy began immediately. Species that had been enslaved for centuries suddenly found themselves free to determine their own destiny. The former Draconian military was reorganized into a defensive force responsible for protecting their own worlds. Rather than conquering others, Dr. Lisa Park established the Galactic Technology Exchange, a program that shared advanced hybrid technology with any species that agreed to use it for peaceful purposes. The combination of human adaptability and alien sophistication led to technological advances that benefited everyone. "We're not trying to replace the Empire with human dominance," she explained to the new Galactic Council. "We're trying to create a system where every species can thrive independently." General Pete Walsh coordinated the massive logistical effort required to evacuate and resettle millions of liberated slaves. Human transport ships worked alongside vessels from dozens of species to return beings to their homeworlds or help them establish new colonies. The final chapter of the war came when General Vorthik, now serving as the elected leader of the new Draconian Republic, made a formal apology to the species his empire had oppressed. "We believed that strength meant the ability to impose our will on others," he said during the address to the Galactic Council. "Humans taught us that true strength means the courage to let others choose their own path.